His work is everywhere, his influence extraordinary. Few made a more indelible mark on their city. This is his story, a Philadelphia original, Frank Furness. Though evidence of his creative genius and original style are everywhere, most Philadelphians know little about the man or his impact. Historian Michael Lewis traces much of this style to a violent mind.
He was a member of Russia's Lancers, the only regiment in the Civil War to ride into battle bearing a lance, like the Middle Ages. With a lance, he could skewer a dozen enemies shish kebab fashion. This is the spirit of his building, to take a lot of force and bring it to bear on a single point to maximize the collision. The whole weight of the building is brought to bear on a single stiletto-thin colonnade. The whole bay projects outward, reeling like a drunken sailor.
Frank Furness was the child of a prominent and socially connected Philadelphia family. But architectural curator Bruce Laverty points out the Furnesses were no strangers to controversy.
He was the son of a Unitarian minister who was a firebrand abolitionist at a time when that was a very dangerous thing to be in this city.
Furness's life and work bridged two Philadelphias, the pre-industrial world of his father and the post-Civil War boom of the railroads and factories. Despite his many commissions, Frank Furness seemed to be at war with the Philadelphia establishment.
He said that once that he would have loved to have gotten all of his clients into the Academy of Music so that he could take to the stage and tell them all to go to hell.
Frank Furness saw that not everything in modern life is polite or even respectable.
Furness wanted buildings that showed life. And he wanted buildings that were not just colorful, but ones where you could see a spark of motion. He created buildings that literally looked like they were going to move or that they were part of a machine.
In his most famous work, the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, Furness put his machine theory into action.
If you look very closely at those very squat, highly polished columns at the front entrance, you see a ring around them, very, very similar to what would have been a piston ring in an engine. And things that would have been covered with wood or stone or plaster in any other setting were suddenly revealed so that you could see how the building worked and you could see the forces and the energy holding up all of that stonework. Furness showed how even a factory could sing.
It's an unusual notion, a factory for artists.
He expressed the energy of Gilded Age America with a vibrancy you only find in the stories of Mark Twain or the paintings of Thomas Eakins.
The ultimate building that looked like it was going to move would be the library at the University of Pennsylvania. The book stacks on the south wing were actually designed so that the wall could be slid out and then expanded as the collections expanded.
Today, the work of Frank Furness stands as a monument to one of America's most creative and dynamic architects. But amazingly enough, a significant part of the Furness portfolio of Philadelphia buildings has fallen to the wrecking ball of progress.
In 1893, the architectural world changed with the Chicago World's Fair. These amazing but temporary buildings in Chicago had this very classical and imperial feel, which America seemed to be ready for.
The moment that America entered the world stage, we became nervous and felt a little awkward. We felt our provincialism. In a way, we became ashamed of Frank Furness's architecture as being lawless and undisciplined, uneducated.
I have students today who say, well, how could they have torn down all of these wonderful buildings? My response to that is they were not yet historic, they were only old.
An historic marker near 15th and Pine, We'll now commemorate this nationally influential architect whose forceful designs and bold use of industrial materials helped shape American modernism.
Furness saw possibilities in Philadelphia. I think it's been a good generation or more since we've seriously considered the future and what this city will be like for our children and grandchildren. Furness certainly did that.
That the personality of an architect, all senses fully alive, engages with the program and the site. That idea has survived. People have forgotten that idea came from Frank Furness.